I've been lurking on this sub for a while. I wanted to share my story. It was Thanksgiving 2011. I was celebrating at my grandparents' farm in the little town of Seville, Florida. I had way too much to eat that holiday and was about to leave to drive back to school in Tallahassee. I stopped at that one little gas station in town to fill up before getting on the highway. I had just finished filling up when a lady walked up to me. She was ratty looking, with crazy blonde dyed hair. But this is the backwoods of Florida, so no judgment. Some kind of people look like that in those parts. She started talking to me about how her car had run out of gas. She pointed to an old junker parked near the convenience store. And if I could give her some cash to get home, I usually don't say yes to things like that. But it was just Thanksgiving weekend, so I was feeling extra generous. So I told her that I'd be happy to fill up her car a little to get her home. Then it started getting weird. She kept insisting I give her cash, and that the car was so empty she couldn't drive it to a pump. I don't know why I didn't leave right there and then, but again, I was in a very good mood. I told her if she had a gas can, I would put some in, but I don't feel comfortable giving her cash. She kept objecting but eventually went over and pulled a gas can from her car. I started filling it up. She put her hand on me and asked if I had a girlfriend. I told her no, politely. She said she wanted to pay me back somehow for the gas and asked if I wanted to come to her place. I told her no, less politely. She kept touching my shoulder, thanking me, and then offered me a blowjob behind the station. So I stopped the gas pump, got into my car, and left her there with the gas can. I called my mom a little later and told her about the creepy, sleazy encounter. She paused and asked if this lady had ratty blonde hair and looked like she was on drugs. I confirmed that yes, that was what she looked like. And how could she know that? This lady was all over the news. She was a prostitute in town and had been at a party earlier. An exchange had gone south, and her baby had been kidnapped by a client of hers and left under a bush in town. She hadn't even bothered to call the police about the missing child. Until later, they were both arrested and charged. So I am a male nurse at a large hospital in San Francisco. I work in the ER. As it is a custom, Thanksgiving night is always busy. Now, my wife is also a nurse for the same hospital. She works in the labor and delivery department. Between babies being born left and right and the people coming into the ER, we hadn't had the chance to take a break together as we tried to do every shift. So when she called, I figured it was to say she wanted to meet up for a bite to eat in the cafeteria. When I answered, I heard in the background a male voice screaming profanities, and my wife, who is fluent in Spanish, trying to calm this guy down. She told me their pager wasn't working and they needed security stat. I quickly hung up and called for security, told my fellow nurses what was going on, and ran for the labor and delivery department. I was worried sick about my wife. When I ran almost square smack down into this visibly angry man. He wasn't huge, but he worked out, and not at the gym. He was covered in prison tattoos, and he was a banger. I worked regularly, but I knew this guy could kick my ass. He looked at me, gave me this sick grin, and started heading towards me, spouting off in Spanish. I don't speak fluent Spanish, but what I could understand scared the living shit out of me. I'm backing up as fast as I can, I start buzzing the door to the ER frantically for them to let me in. This guy is a foot away from me, and the door opens, and I'm being pulled into safety by a doctor. Gangbanger punches the door a few times, making a dragging sign across his throat while grinning at us. Next thing I know, the police rush into the corridor he's in. It takes two security officers and two cops to subdue this dude. I finally make it to my wife, who was shaken up, but thankfully unhurt. She explained to me what happened. A young girl, only 14, came in with a high fever, vomiting, and distended belly. The banger claimed he was her brother, and they needed to cut her open to get her baby. They did an ultrasound, and to their horror, they realized she wasn't pregnant. She had bags of drugs in her stomach. It's very common for drug mules to bring over young women from Mexico carrying drugs that way. Homeboy freaked out when they informed him his sister needed emergency surgery. And no, he wasn't getting his drugs. Thankfully, the girl survived. But the sad thing is, when she recovers, she will be deported. A couple of years ago at Thanksgiving night, I was sitting in my parents' family room watching a movie when my younger sister burst through the door, hysterically. I asked her what's wrong, but she was panicking to the point she couldn't speak. She just kept trying to call her boyfriend. After calming down, she explained to us that while she was driving home on a dark, somewhat secluded road, a couple of creeps began harassing her. They were driving uncomfortably close behind her, and then they tried running her over the road. She called her boyfriend, who came to her rescue by getting the guy's attention. My sister made it home, but she was worried about her boyfriend because he wasn't answering his phone. After calling again and again, he finally picked up his phone. My sister overheard some of the conversation he was having with those jerks, and she heard someone say something about a gun. She freaked out, and my parents called the police and took her down to meet with her boyfriend and a cop. The guys were drunk and had pulled a gun on her boyfriend. They found them, and they will be punished for their actions accordingly. Hey guys, thank you so much for listening and hope you enjoyed the stories. If so, please subscribe to our channel. It'd be an amazing support to help us share more spooky videos in the future. Also, if you have any scary experience you like to share, please send us your story on the email in the description below. So, until then, have a wicked day.